Greetings, friend. I will show you how to solve this puzzle using a beautifully colorful strategy. I'll also give you another fun fact about our Friday featured setter, Piatato, later in the video. Click below if you want to give it a go. With that, it's solving time. Okay, I have solved this puzzle before, and I want to show you that you can work through this puzzle and look for things like 2 spots for a 9 right here and do some Snyder notation, and we're going to see how far we can get. And it may not get you as far as you hope to get, right? With these 2 7s here in rows 1 and 2, put the 7s right there. So in case you're not familiar with Snyder notation, anytime in a 3x3 block, you have a candidate limited to 2 spots. You mark them, and in case you solve one of those cells, you can solve the other one right away. Also helps us figure out some advanced strategies. Something else you want to notice here, see how this 5 cuts up, and you got the 5s cutting across rows 1 and 2 here? That means that the 5s and the 7s are limited to the same 2 spots. So this is actually a hidden pair. This is going to help us out later in the puzzle. And that creates a 1, 2, 8 naked triple because the only 3 spots remaining in block 3 have to be a 1, 2, 3. All right, that cell is of interest. We will come back to that one. Okay, other things we can notice. Now these 8s are a pointing pair because that's the only 2 spots they can keep in block 3 is here in column 7. So 8s can't be there anymore. You got this 8 cutting across. You got this 8 coming up. So the 8s are limited to these 2 spots. And I'm going to mark the Snyder because usually this will give you a clue on how to solve the puzzle. Okay? And so we're going to keep on going here. You see how this 8 cuts down here, and this 8 comes down column 2. So the 8s are a pointing pair over here, and they'd also be a pointing pair, or actually a claiming pair right there. Only 2 spots. So I'm going to mark that with the Snyder notation. Other things you want to notice is you do have, a decent amount of 4s. 4s are limited to these 2 spots here in block 6, and they're limited to these 2 spots here in block 7, and that's interesting to note. And you got these 9s here. These 9s are limited to 2 spots as well. All right, where else can we do? I kind of want to get all this, as much Snyder notation in this puzzle as I can. Okay, you got a pointing pair of 5s right here because this 5 cuts down column 1. This 5 cuts across, so the 5's on the 2 spots, so it's a pointing pair. 5s can't be there, so the 5s are actually going to be limited to these 2 spots here in block 8. So you're looking at this, you go, okay, I got a hidden pair here. That must mean something. I got, these pointing pairs. I've got to be able to get some kind of solve here going, right? But you notice we're just not getting any of the solves. There's only 2 spots for 6 there in block 8. And look up any more restrictions with the block. Nope. Okay, with the 3s here, and you see the 3s are pretty restricted. There are only 2 spots for 3 up there. That's of interest. Actually got 2 spots for the 6 because of this 6 and this 6. So you see some restrictions. You're going, okay, well, if I can solve 1 or 2 of these cells, the other ones should start solving together, right? And that's the idea that we're looking for. However, you see the Snyder notation is starting to dry up a bit. I don't really see much more Snyder marks that I can make. And so the next thing you'd want to do when you don't have any more Snyder marks you can make is what you do is you look and go, okay, I'm going to look at the single candidate strategies. And I will tell you that you can find a nice single candidate strategy involving the 3s. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but you look for it and you can do that. It'll help a little bit with the solve later on, but it will not solve any individual cells. But it is a nice strategy. I like how Piatato put it in this particular puzzle. And so if you're looking around and you're not seeing that, then you need to start looking at the puzzle a little bit differently, right? If you're not solving anything, you look at single candidate strategies, you can start filling in the cells, and you'll notice that there's a decent amount of bi-value cells. You got these triples, the 1 and 2. It's still not going to quite solve the puzzle for you. And the way this is set up, you'll probably notice there's some symmetry here in block 1 and block 9. And that's kind of unique in how this little shape is. And this should kind of clue you in and going, okay, the setter put this here in a reason. And then there's also some kind of restriction going on down here in block 7, depending on what's in here. And this is the beautiful thing. It actually reminds me of another puzzle by another great setter. I'm going to put that at the end. You want to check it out because it's going to involve the same type of strategy that we're about to use right here. And so that strategy is Sudoku Coloring. Okay, so in coloring, now you're going to kind of apply an alternating sequence of colors to go, okay, can I make some eliminations or solves, use some logic here. And what you want to focus on is this particular cell right there. We're going to make that blue. Whatever this is, let's say it's a 1. If you look across, because of how block 1 is shaped, then the 1 in this block would have to be in one of these 2 cells. So we know if that's a 1, then this would be a 1 as well, an alternating color. Okay, same thing, it has the same effect down here on block 9. So if this is a 1, 1 can't be there, it's got to be there. Same thing if it's a 2, if this is a 2. So whatever candidate this is, it has to be limited to these 2 cells here in block 9 and over here in block 1. What does that mean? That means it's going to be the same candidate looking in to here. Where can it be now in block 7? It has to be right there. This has to be the same candidate because you notice this candidate's here. So there's a pointing pair here, so it can't be in any of those 3 spots. Pointing pair here can't be in any of those 3 spots. This has to be the same candidate. So this is a 1, that has to be a 1. If this is a 2, that has to be 2. And it's the only place it will fit in block 7. So what it tells us is instead of this being a possibility of a 1, 2, 4, and 9, this has to be the same digit. It has to be a 1 or a 2. We can eliminate that 4 and the 9. This is the beautiful stuff. You got to see this. And I love using coloring for this. And before I move on with how this affects the puzzle, I do want to share my fun fact about Piatato. And so I asked, who helps you with your testing and your ideas? And he came up with another setter I featured many times, Yoshi Broshi. So Yoshi is my main tester for classics, but I also like to mention that Sudoku Cult Discord server, which has been amazing in regards to testing ideas, inspiration. Every setter I've featured will tell me how they get so much inspiration and help from the other setters. What a wonderful community in the Discord. Speaking of Yoshi and the Discord, if you want to get great exclusive content, awesome puzzles like this from people like Yoshi Broshi, I actually featured a Yoshi puzzle pack back in February. Click on the pin comment below, join the Smarty Party. You also get exclusive Discord access where you can talk and hang out with this community of awesome setters and solvers. So again, this is really huge. Now that we got a 1 and 2 right here, we know we can eliminate that 4 and that 9. So whenever you displace a Snyder mark, you can solve the other cell where the Snyder was immediately. So that's going to be a 9, that's going to be a 8, that's going to be a 4, and that's going to be a 5. Awesome. And you're just not familiar with how this single candidate coloring works. This is also called Simple Coloring. I just made a tutorial, Simple Coloring tutorial. I'll put a link to it right here. Check it out. It's part 1 of 3. I'm going to teach you everything about coloring. And while you're at it, subscribe to Smart Hobbies if you want to solve Sudoku better using coloring. Okay, now let's remove the colors because we did the great solve here. We don't have to actually solve that for 1 or 2, but we did get some digits in this grid. And we know this is going to be a 1 or 2. So let's get rid of all those colors. And what does that do for our grid now? Okay. The one thing you want to notice, you got a lot of these 1 and 2s going on here, right? So we're able to solve 8, the 9, good stuff, the 4s, and this 5. You look up here in this column 3, since we just added that, and you also have these extra digits here, the 1 and the 8, what can this be, right? It can be a 1, 2, 6, or 8 in these 4 digits, in these 4 cells. And we got a 1, 2, and an 8 right there. So this is actually naked single 6, okay? Which means that can't be a 6 anymore. This has to be a 6. And now you've limited these 3 cells to a 1, 2, or 3, and we know this can't be a 3, right? Because we already have a 3 right there. Well, hopefully you notice right here we have a naked pair, okay? We got this naked pair of 1 and 2. That's going to be huge. That means 1 and 2 are limited to those 2 cells. We can actually solve 2 more cells right away. So let's get rid of those colors. And now 1 and 2 can't be in that cell, and a 1 and 2 can't be in that cell. So we can solve that for a 3. Awesome. And now you have this 1, 2 here. You have this 1, 2 here, which means this has to be a 3 or 7. Well, I got my 3 right there. So here's your 3, and here's your 7. And once you solve this 3, we're going to be able to solve the rest of the 3s. Because you have these 2 3s here, and this 3 means this has to be a 3. And then where can the 3 go? Down here. It has to be in this spot because the 3 right there, and because now with this 3, with the 3s in rows 7 and 8, you can solve this for a 3, displacing that Snyder 6. So we know we can solve that first 6 right away. Now you got these 2 3s coming up, and you have the 3s in rows 1 and 2. This has to be a 3. So awesome. We go through really quick, and we just knocked out all of those 3s. Now let's change our focus to the 8s, right? We solved this 8, so that can no longer be an 8. You got the 8s in rows 2 and 3. You got this 8 coming up, so you know now this has to be an 8, and with the 8s in columns 4 and 6. And this 8 means this has to be an 8 as well. And so we still have these 2 spots for an 8. Can't solve those just yet, but we've created some more restrictions in our puzzle. So now let's look at the 6s, right? We just solved this first 6. You got these 2 6s up here in rows 1 and 3. So it means this has to be a 6, and that has to be a 9. And now the 2 6s here and these 2 6s, we can solve this first 6. And you see, we're kind of smoothly working our way through the puzzle now. We're not done yet. We got a lot to go, but we are making great progress. I love that I'm able to fill out some of these marks, use some of the Snyder, and it's really getting us closer to where we need to be in solving this puzzle. Now, I do want to focus here. What could be in this column? It looks like it could be a 2, 4, 7. Well, I got a 2 and a 4 right there, so that has to be your 7. And now with this 4 means this is going to be a 2, and that's going to be your 4. Awesome. All right, now we made all those solves. What we know is now the 2 can't be here or here because of this 2, so this has to be your 2, and now we can start solving some of these 1s and 2s here. So that's a 1 or a 2, that's got to be your 2, that's got to be your 1, that's got to be 2, that's got to be your 1. You're looking at that going, oh, maybe there's going to be a remote pair. No, that's not remote pairs that does it. It's the coloring that really gets you through the hard part of this puzzle. What do we have left here? It looks like we need another 2, and this is going to be your 1. Awesome. And let's keep on moving. Did we get all of the 2s? It looks like we just got one more 2 right here, which is going to displace our 8. And so now we can solve this 8 because of the Snyder marks pretty quickly. All right. And what are we missing here? Looks like we need a 1 and a 7. I got my 1, and this is actually a full house, so you know that has to be a 7. And that's going to be your 1. And now we can solve these. I love disambiguating BVCs, by value cells I call them, which means this has to be a 1. It's the only thing left in column 9. Awesome. We'll go up there, solve that for a 1. And now we're making great progress here. All right, what are we looking for across here? I don't have a 1 yet, but I got these 2 1s. So this must be your 1, and this is going to be, it looks like your 4. All right, and these 2 4s means this has to be a 4. Displace the Snyder 4 in block 6. Great. And let's kind of look for the restrictions. I got a full house, so I'm going to go and start solving that first. I don't have a 5 over here, so that's got to be a 5. That's got to be a 9. I don't have a 5 in here, so that's got to be your 5. And that's got to be your 9. And I don't have a 9 in there, so there's got to be your 9. And this has to be, it looks like a 7. So we got 2 cells left. My 5 right there tells me the 5's got to be right there. And our last digit is a 7. You need to check out this other video if you want to solve Sudoku using coloring even better. Thank you so much, Piatato, for being my Friday featured setter. You've been amazing this month, and thank you so much for watching.